as well?
Oh, he's a student at Boston University. He's working on his PhD in systematic theology. He's from Atlanta. He went to Morehouse while I was at Spelman. He's a very nice man. And I told him all about you. He really wants to meet you. Oh, Mary, I just don't have time to meet anybody. No, that's all right. I don't want to meet him. Oh, but Coretta, he's going to be a Baptist minister. What? A Baptist minister? Oh, they're boring, narrow-minded, and they wear black suits. I'm from the AME church, you know, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and we're quiet, and they are so loud. Oh, no, I definitely do not want to meet him. Oh, but Coretta, he's not boring. He's very well-spoken. You will like him. Just please, he told me he was quite cynical about the women around here. And he wants to meet someone with style and charm. All right, you could give him my phone number. Well, a few hours later, ring, ring. Hello, this is Coretta Scott. Oh, Coretta, this is Martin Luther King Jr., and I've been wanting to meet you. A mutual friend has given me your phone number, and she has told me so many wonderful things about you. When can we meet? Well, I have a full schedule, but on Thursday, I have a couple hours between classes. Maybe we could meet for lunch. Oh, I would like to do that. It usually takes me about 10 minutes to get to the conservatory from Boston University. I'll get there in 7. All right. Well, that Thursday, I put on a powder blue wool suit, buttoned up my black jacket, and waited outside my dormitory. And there he comes on the street in a green 1951 Chevy. And I get into the car, and I'm thinking, he's a little bit short. He's a little bit young. Actually, I find out he's 2 years younger than me. No, yeah, 2 years older than him. Yes. But we went on and had lunch at this restaurant about 4 blocks away from the school. And we talked about this and that and all about things going on in the world. And he was so surprised. I knew what was going on in the world, that my mind wasn't just into music. He was really surprised. And he kept staring at my hair and my face and just looking at me so intently. And then after lunch, we got back into the car, and at a stop sign, at a stoplight, he put his arm on the back of the chair, and he looks at me and he says, Coretta, you have everything I want in a wife. How can you say that? You just met me. Oh, I could tell. You got personality, character, intelligence, and beauty. When can I see you again? Well, I'll check my schedule. Just give me a call later on. And that night, I could hardly sleep. Here's this man talking to me about matrimony on our first date. Oh, music is my first love. This is the 1950s. The woman gets married, she becomes a housewife and has children. She doesn't have a career. Oh. And you know, I had looked at him intently, making sure that he wasn't joking when he was talking about matrimony. But no, he was very serious. Well, we went out again on Saturday, and that night afterwards, he talked about matrimony again. And we kept going out, go bowling, go roller skating. He's a really good dancer. Ooh, he could do the foxtrot and the waltz, and he could do the jitterbug too. He told me that once he becomes a minister, that he's going to have to give up dancing. He also told me that when he becomes a minister, he wants to be a minister in the South. That's where his people needed him the most. South. Oh, I could already feel the shackles of Jim Crow back around my ankles again. Oh. But my sister liked him. Everybody liked him. And I realized I could be out on the stage singing, but my life was more than just on the stage. I had to make a difference. That's what my father had taught us. That's what my teachers had all taught us. So I made a decision to fall in love with Martin Luther King, Jr. June 18th, 1953, in front of my parents' great lawn in Marion, Alabama, where they now live, over 400 people gathered for Martin and my wedding. Daddy King, the name we called his father, he officiated. After that wedding, we went back up to Boston. Had another year of school, and Martin had several more years to work on his PhD. That year, remarkable. I had a heavy load. I switched my major, not my major, but my graduate studies from music performance to music education, because now as his wife, I know that I'll be teaching piano and violin and voice lessons and things like that. And so I had a lot of work to catch up. So Martin, he was really remarkable. He liked to put on my apron. He said it made him feel more like a man when he wore my apron. Every Thursday night, he cooked dinner. Ooh, and he could put his foot in it too. Fried chicken, greens, cornbread, pig's feet, pig's snouts, pig's ear. Ooh, he was a really good cook. And he did the laundry too. We didn't have no washing machine and dryer. So he did the laundry. He did a lot of the chores that first year of our marriage until we got caught up with so much other things later on. I was hoping that we'd be able to be in the North for maybe a year or two so I could get my musical career off the ground. But even by January, 2 churches in the North called him, 2 churches in the South called him. A dean of a school wanted him. They wanted him to be a dean of another college, and then the 2 other colleges wanted him to teach, all in the North. But Dexter Avenue Baptist Church was looking for another minister, and they invited Martin to come and preach. And when he came back that January, he knew this is where he needed to be. Ooh. But I prepared myself. After I graduated in June, in September, we had moved into the parsonage at Montgomery, Alabama, Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. Oh, but we had a good year that first year. A really good year where Martin's sermons weren't sermons about life on earth, just accept all the injustices and things, and when you get to heaven, things will be better. Oh, no, 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 no. He was about social justice and how to prepare this middle-class congregation to take a stand. And we talked so much about Gandhi. Martin was always amazed that I knew about Gandhi. I said at Lincoln High and at Antioch College, we had Americans who had went over to India and met Gandhi and worked with him and came back and talked to us at Lincoln and at Antioch. Oh, I know all about Gandhi. In fact, I knew about Gandhi before he did. He didn't know about him until Crozer Seminary, when the president of Howard University came and gave a lecture about him. And then after that, he went and read every book he could find on Gandhi. Because by the year 1947, British left India alone because of what Gandhi had done. Nonviolence, civil disobedience. The British were brutal and oppressive, but there was not one shot fired when the British let go of that country. So my husband wanted to marry the works of Gandhi with the teachings of Jesus Christ to bless those who despitefully use you, to love them who are your enemies. And so we talked about that, and sometimes with his sermons he would say, Coretta, what should be my first point? We'd think about it and toss back different ideas. And I was always typing up his sermons, but before Sunday, he had it memorized. He'd be in that pulpit by memory, no paper in front of him. It was a great year. Then I became pregnant, had our baby Yolanda, November, and 3 weeks later, life totally changed. Rosa Parks, she got on that bus after work. When you get on the bus in Montgomery, you get up and you walk up the steps, you put your dime in, you step back down, you walk to the back, you go up the steps, and you sit in the colored section. Rosa Parks, she was right here behind the sign that says for coloreds only. There was someone here, someone man here, and two other men here. And when the front started filling up with white people, and there was no more seats for this white man, not only did she have to get up, but everyone on that row had to get up too, according to the laws of segregation. And everybody else got up, and everybody in the back was saying, come on, Sister Rosa, come on, Mrs. Parks, get on up. But she refused. She was arrested, and when Martin got the call, he hesitated at first. It's like, is this what I should be doing? He was always questioning and wondering, is this the right thing, and this is the right motive? But it didn't take him too long. He was out there at the honky-tonks, and he was passing out flyers, and he was going all over the place, passing out flyers. Over a year before, Joanne Gibson, a black woman who was a professor at Alabama State, she had already written up how to have a boycott of the buses. So they used all the things that she had written, and they put it into plan. It was only going to be one day on that Monday. Oh, Martin and I got up at 5:30 on that Monday morning, and we had our coffee and our toast. We looked out the window. The bus was empty that stops by our house. And then the next one was empty, and the next one was empty. Then Martin went and drove around to see if all of them would be empty of black people, because if every 10 people on that bus, 7 would be black. But not that day. Maybe 1 or 2, but not that day. Oh, people got their mules out. Giddy up, going off to work. They got their horse and their buggy. Some got their bikes. It was just a most beautiful thing to see. Our people, dignified, unified, proud. It didn't matter what the things were being thrown at them from the white people, from their cars, but they were proud, and they were walking to work. Oh, it was the most amazing and glorious thing to see. Martin was making sure there was at least 2 mass meetings a week so that people could be inspired, because we wanted to make sure it was nonviolent. I had the little baby, so I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do, but I could cook for the meetings. I was able to answer the phone, and at nighttime we could not answer the phone because the violence and the hatred poured through the telephone made it really difficult for us to get our rest. But Martin, he continued to preach nonviolence. Even the day he had to run home because our house had been bombed. I was sitting on the couch with another woman by the name of Mary, and Martin always had someone with me when he was not at home in the evenings. And we were sitting there talking, and I heard a car out front, something hit the side of our house, and it rolled on our porch. Bang! Before that bang went out, I said, Mary, let's get to the back. When we came back to the front, there was a hole in our front wall. The porch had been blown apart. The couch that we were sitting in was broken. The house was filled with smoke. We were fine. But the neighbors came with bats and broken bottles and guns and rifles, and they were ready to go and riot and find any white person. All before this, everything that Martin taught was a textbook. It was a sermon. But now that we've been bombed, what's he going to say? He came home and he told everybody to go home, put your weapons down. Do not hate these white brothers. Love every single one of them. Go home. And we moved into somebody else's house. Well, Daddy King, when he heard about what happened, and then my father, Obadiah Scott, what happened, they both drove to where we were staying at. And if you ever had a chance to meet Daddy King, if he says jump, you say, how high? He has so much authority and power. And he was saying, Coretta, you must come home with me and bring the baby Yoki with me. And Martin, you need to stop being the president of the MIA, the Montgomery Association. You have to step down from that. You're going to have to come back, and you could be assistant pastor at Ebenezer, and we'll give you the same salary. Actually, we'll give you even more of the salary. You must come back with me. I was standing there like, wow, I could go back to Atlanta where it's more safe. But no, I looked death, I looked violence in the eye that night, and I survived. And something inside of me made me realize that this is exactly where I needed to be. And Martin was next to me, and he was looking like a little scared schoolboy in front of his father. But he said no. And later that night, he called me his brave soldier. And he could not imagine me not being by his side. 381 days later, the bus was desegregated. The Supreme Court had gotten involved, and we were able to ride the bus. And when that bus stopped in front of our house, Martin got on, I got on, Rosa Parks, who had to run away from Montgomery because there were so many death threats on her. She and her husband and Ralph Abernathy, Edie Nixon, we all got on that bus, and that white bus driver said, oh, welcome, come on, it must be Dr. King. It was such a different spirit. Yes, and that was just the beginning. The next 12 to 13 years, what was our life was about was a civil rights movement. And my husband said, do not hate, because it leads to tragic and neurotic responses. We must love. We must love our enemies, because love is the only thing that has redemptive power to transform those who hate us. And keep loving them, even though they're mistreating us. Because at some point, they're going to be a transition period. And they're going to feel guilt and shame about how they're treating you, and you're just treating them with love. And then they're going to mistreat you even worse. But then somehow they're going to be transformed, because there's power in love.